Increasing federal power to take down the truckers. Sounds like a fantastic idea.
Thank you for saving us, Justin Trudeau.
Hey, before we get into this video, take a second right now and visit our sponsor, Prepper's Peak, and grab one of these 3-in-1 quick connect rechargeable flashlights. Quickly change between a 600 lumen flashlight, a 400 lumen work light, or a 200 lumen gooseneck flex light that you can hang virtually anywhere for hands-free portable illumination. It comes with a USB charging cord and power brick, and each attachment has 5 lighting modes: high, medium, low, SOS, and strobe. The magnet at the other end of the flashlight is powerful enough to stick to the side of anything metal, giving you more hands-free options. Grab one for yourself and for somebody you love. The link with my discount code is in the description. Increasing federal powers. That just sounds like a good idea, doesn't it? Why wouldn't we want the federal bureaucracy to have even more power over us? And yet, that's what Justin Trudeau wants to do. He plans to invoke the Emergencies Act to deal with the Freedom Convoy. There's a couple of articles I want to take a look at here, but this is just breaking news right now. It'd be the first time the act has been imposed since Trudeau's father, Pierre Elliott Trudeau, invoked the War Measures Act to deal with the FLQ crisis in Quebec in 1970. We're going to see what the Premier of Ontario, Doug Ford, says about this, and we're going to have some other state functionaries weigh in on this. But Prime Minister Justin Trudeau plans to enact the Emergencies Act, according to sources close to the Prime Minister's office. And this is basically going to increase federal powers so that the state has even more control, like an umbrella of control, not compartmentalized control where you can go to another jurisdiction and escape that control. They want this overarching control. And of course, they say it's going to be limited and it's going to be temporary. But we already know from history that there's nothing more permanent than a temporary government program. And that's what they're doing right here. According to the CBC, Trudeau told his caucus he would invoke the Never Before Used Emergencies Act to give the federal government special powers. Hey, you know what? Why don't we grant ourselves some special powers here? You know what? Power corrupts. How can we become more corrupted is basically what he's going to say. He might as well say that. We're going to grant ourselves special powers so that we can be even more corrupted and corruptible. Power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And the Emergencies Act is absolute, broad brush, umbrella federal power to handle the ongoing Freedom Convoy protest, not uprising, not occupation, although they claim that it is an occupation, for the Freedom Convoy protest in Canada. The legislation was designed to replace the War Measures Act, which defines a national emergency as urgent and critical, that seriously endangers the lives, health, or safety of Canadians, and is of such proportions or nature as to exceed the capacity or authority of a province to deal with it. Well, then why didn't they enact the Emergency Act to go against the government when they were seriously endangering the lives, health, and safety of Canadians by shutting down businesses and bringing people to the brink of financial ruin? The act, if invoked, will provide the federal government extraordinary 30-day time-limited powers. Oh, it's just temporary. Just believe us. It's just temporary. On the 29th day, they'll reconvene and they'll go, you know what? That worked out pretty good for us. Why don't we just go ahead and extend this for a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more? Remember what Nixon said back in August 15th, 1971, when he closed the gold window? I've directed Secretary Connolly to temporarily suspend the convertibility of gold into other assets. Temporary? That's been what, 50 something years now? 51 years? It'll be 51 years this August 5th, 2022. He did that back in 1971. Oh, temporary. Thanks, Tricky Dick. That's how they think. That's how these functionaries operate. Enabling the prohibition of public safety, travel, and the use of specific property. Talk about broad brush powers. It would allow Ottawa to designate protected places and force force privately owned tow truck companies to provide their services to the city. Let's see what old Dougie says here. This is Doug Ford. He's the Premier of Ontario.
But I will tell you, I'll support the federal government in any proposals they have.
If you're supporting the federal government, you can't at the same time protect and promote and support the people. You can't. It's impossible. They're mutually exclusive and diametrically opposed. If you're supporting the federal government, you are not supporting the people. As a matter of fact, you're helping support the federal government in crushing the people. That's historically how it goes.
To bring law and order back to our province, to make sure we stabilize our businesses and trade around the world as the world is watching us right now, wondering if it's a stable environment to open up businesses and expand businesses. These occupiers, they're doing the total opposite, what they say they're there to do. They're hurting hundreds of thousands of families.
Hurting hundreds of thousands of families. The Trudeau government doesn't know anything about that in the last 2 years, does it?
Millions of jobs across the province. I've been speaking to numerous CEOs of Fortune 500 companies, wondering if they should continue to expand. Well, my message to them, yes, we're open for business, continue to expand.
Now we need to interject this. To what extent is the trucker convoy and the Freedom Rally affecting businesses? To what extent? I don't know. I'm just asking. Does anybody know firsthand from being in Canada, specifically Ottawa, is the trucker convoy negatively impacting small businesses? Let me know.
And we will guarantee you a stable environment, and to make sure we get goods from one side of the border to the other.
Okay, here's testimony from Liberal MP Judy Sugden. She says that it's a sad day for Canada, saying, do you see what's going on outside? Of course we need to initiate the emergency. We need to give the federal government emergency powers. Temporary, of course, but we definitely need to grant the federal government more power, extraordinary power. See what's going on outside over there?
Prime Minister introducing the Emergency Services Act. You were on the Toronto Police Force before in the mid-90s.
Very sad day for Canada.
Will you vote for it?
Do you see what's going on outside? Do you see the impact that this is having on our economy? The thousands of people are losing jobs. What would you do?
By the way, let's just take a moment to appreciate this right here. The only purpose for ritualistic shame muzzles is to make people look as stupid as they truly are. I wanted to just go over this one article right here, and we'll just close this out. But they do intend to go full throttle with this. They say, we are, this is the government. We are the government. Hey, the government, they care about you. The 9 most terrifying words in English language and in the Canadian language is, I'm from the government and I'm here to help. Always has been, always will be, because when they come in saying that they're going to help, they just leave death, destruction, ruin, and decay, no matter where they place their hands. It says, we are prepared to use every tool available to us, including emergency powers, because we want the ring of power. And to make sure that we bring every resource of the federal government to bear. Oh, man. We're going to bring everything together at our disposal. We'll scrape together every resource to throw down the trucker freedom convoy. This is a critical situation for the country. Well, I think that you guys, it looks to me like governments all over the world have created a critical situation in their own countries the last 2 years. What do you think? Could anybody create a more grave critical situation than governments have created for their people? This is a critical situation for the country, Blair said, calling the ongoing anti-mandate and increasingly anti-government protests a significant national security threat. Well, of course, you're a national security threat. The federal government's not a national security threat when they increase the coffers of the military-industrial complex and send our sons and daughters to the grist mills and dust fields of war. No, you're the national security threat, though. That's why we got to watch you. We got to keep an eye on you. We got to fund the Department of Homeland Security to the tune of $55 billion and have offshoots like the TSA so we can go in there and we can radiate and molest you as you're walking through the airport. But you're the national security threat. Remember that. When the government tells you you're a national security threat, you might be doing something right. You might be advancing freedom in this world, because one of the last things that governments want, and that's Canadian government, American government, whatever government, the last thing governments want is for the people to have more and more freedom. Because if you have more and more freedom, they have less and less power. Just remember that. If you have more and more freedom, they have less and less money. They have less and less revenues. And they don't want that. They can't take that. They need the ring of power. So they're always going to look for a way to increase their power. And power corrupts, and absolute power will always corrupt. Absolutely. Leave your thoughts about this for the world and the global thought police in the comments section below. I'm going to go over this next thing right here. This is just, it's just crazy. It's crazy. Giving yourself more power so that you can accumulate more resources and bring the entire force of the federal government to bear against the truckers. I really want to know from people in Ottawa specifically if the truckers are hampering commerce. Are they truly hampering commerce? We know mainstream media says they're hampering commerce, but we also know not to believe mainstream media. With all the crazy stated plans of the Great Reset, the currency reset, and even the food reset, it's not a matter of if the store shelves are going to clear and there's a lack of food. The question is when. You need to get long-term storable food. It doesn't matter if it's from me or you just go to the store and you buy food. Just grab dry, storable food while you can. If you want to get it from me, you're going to support the channel and you're going to help yourself out because my link has a discount code embedded within it. You can check that out in the description below.